What's up, guys? Today I want to do a little product review on a treadmill product. So this is not something that we've typically done, but there's a company called WellFit that reached out to us and they wanted to send us one of their mid-range treadmills, and it just so happened that we were kind of looking for one. So we said, hey, what the heck, let's do it. And we've had it for about 3 months now, and now I kind of want to give you a full review. So I'm going to do myself, who is not like an avid runner. I just like to walk and, maybe do some light jogging just for cardio purposes. I'm also like a big 250-pound dude. And then we'll also bring in my girlfriend Melinda, who actually is a runner. She runs half marathons. She's training for a marathon right now. So you can have a couple of different perspectives on this treadmill, and we'll tell you all about what we think, what we like, what we don't like, and just give you an honest review. So first up is the unboxing and kind of assembly portion of this, which honestly is pretty easy. And the box that it comes in is very streamlined and small, and there's not a whole lot of setup that actually needs to be done. So basically, you'll get it, crack open the box, pull it out. There's a nice instruction manual for putting it together, as well as a nicely organized hardware container with all the bolts and everything labeled. It's very straightforward. You basically have to put the two legs on the front with the wheels. Then you put the upright assembly together, and then there's a couple of little handles that you put on the upright assembly. And then after that, you put on these side steps, and then you're pretty much ready to just plug it in. And the other thing you got to do is make sure that the belt has adequate tension, which ours was good right out of the box. And also there's some silicone lubricant that you have to put underneath the belt so that it gives nice, smooth rotation. But overall, setup is pretty easy, pretty straightforward. And it's a relatively compact, easy to handle treadmill. The whole thing only weighs like 100 pounds versus some of the bigger ones that are out there are, 200, 300, 400 pounds. So they're very kind of hard, difficult to handle. This one is not that bad. So let's just give you kind of a little bit of an overview of this treadmill. It's very functional in what it is. It's like there's nothing super fancy about it, but what struck me and what really brought this to us and why I decided to do this is two things. The first thing is the belt size. So the belt is actually, it's 19 inches wide and 44 inches long, which is not typical for a lot of the treadmills in this price range that you find like on Amazon and stuff. And me being a bigger dude, I've tried some of the smaller ones, like the 17, 18 inch wide ones, and it's just too narrow for my gait. So that was one big thing. The other thing is the weight capacity of this. So it can hold up to 450 pounds. So it's built for larger people, and it works, well. The other thing, they have a nice beefed up brushless motor in this that can take it from 0 to, I think it's 9.9 miles an hour, and it's a 4 horsepower motor, which that was another like big selling feature. A lot of these other lower priced treadmills on Amazon do not have a strong enough motor or the weight capacity or the large belt. This one kind of checked all the boxes, even though, it doesn't look like a super fancy sports car or anything like that, but it's very functional, like I said. So once you have this thing set up and you're ready to plug it in, you're gonna have to find a spot that's relatively close to an outlet because the cord on it is about 6 feet long, but depending on how you face it, it might get a little bit tricky. The other thing you have to note is you do have to make sure you have a dedicated 20 amp outlet. I tried plugging this into one of our outlets in the basement with that was on like a GFCI circuit, and it was popping the GFCI, so I had to move it to a different room where I had a dedicated circuit, and it worked just fine. Even out here in my garage, when I plug this baby in, it works just fine. And now just kind of getting into the general operation of it and the display, it's very simple. That's actually one thing that I like about it a lot, because I'm not going to be wanting to watch TV on my treadmill or do a bunch of programs or whatever. I just like to turn it on and walk, and that's what walk or run. It's very easy. There's only a handful of buttons. They got a quick speed setting where you can do 3 mile an hour, 6 mile an hour, or speed adjustment, and then you can kind of like cycle through the different programs that they have pictured here. But for the most part, like I said, it's very simple, and I find that to be user friendly. And also this thing kind of pivots, so you can use it as like a table, or if you want to put like a laptop or something on here, it makes it pretty convenient for stuff like that. And then just getting it rolling, it's very simple. You just press the button, hit start, and it just goes. As we've been using this, one thing I do notice is the very low speeds, like sub 1.5 miles an hour, it does get kind of a little jerky. And I've even messed around with the belt tension and the lubricant. It does kind of, it seems like it has a difficult time going slow, but I don't know if anybody actually walks this slow. I don't. So for me, like, I usually like to start at least a 2 mile an hour, maybe 3 mile an hour walk. And it's very comfortable for me. And also it's very quiet. You probably can't even hear this thing, but it's super quiet. And even like in the house, like if you're, up early in the morning or you don't want to wake up somebody else in your house, this thing will not do that. It's very quiet and it sounds good. A couple more points I want to make before turning it over to Melinda for her review is, one is the maneuverability. So with this being so small, it's actually pretty easy to maneuver around in your house if you need to. There's a couple of wheels on the front, and all you really need to do is lift it up, and it rolls pretty easily on carpet, hard floor, whatever. And then the other thing is the incline adjustment. So there's no power incline adjustment, and it just has 2 settings, and that's accomplished with these flippers in the back here. So if you fold them down flat, that will give you a 5% incline. It'll sit on these bumpers, and then if you bring the flippers down completely, that puts it at a 0% incline.
All right, so now I'm gonna offer a runner's perspective on this treadmill. So I've been using it for the past 3 months to do about 2 to 3 runs per week. And overall, I would say the treadmill has held up really well. I'm about 5'5", 140 pounds, and running on it a few times a week has been really great. I can't speak for somebody who's maybe heavier or larger, how the treadmill will hold up for them, but for me, it's worked well. As far as how the treadmill feels for running, it doesn't have the built-in like suspension and compression that a lot of your high-end running treadmills will, or commercial treadmills at the gym. So I do notice that I feel it a little bit more in my knees and maybe like my lower back hip area when I use it for running, but a little bit of extra mobility and stretching definitely helps with that. Overall, the track size feels really good for running as well. My height probably plays a role there too, but I haven't had any issues with my feet coming off the edge of the track or anything like that. All right, so as far as distance and speeds go, for the most part, I have used the treadmill for anywhere from like 4 to 6 mile runs. The longest that I've ran on it was a little over 8 miles, and it went really well on the treadmill. As far as speeds go, I have tried to do some speed training on it, and I would say that it's not ideal for that. It maxes out at about 9.9 miles per hour. And if you're really trying to push your speed and do those interval workouts, it's just not quite enough. So that is one thing that I would say. I think ideally it's great for a beginner runner or somebody who's trying to do maybe shorter distances at moderate paces. But if you're trying to use it for speed training, tempo training, things like that, it's probably not going to be the best fit. So the next thing I want to talk about is kind of the console and what it provides in terms of information. So on the treadmill, you are going to have a step count, which I like. It tells you how many steps you've gotten in. It also has a heart rate monitor with heart rate sensors on the side. I have tested that against my Garmin watch and have found that the heart rate sensor is a bit off. So I'm not quite sure how accurate that is. Also on the screen, it's going to show you your miles per hour, so your speed, but only in miles per hour. If you are a runner, you probably like to use paces in order to determine how fast you're running. So that is one thing that I would say I don't like about it. I have to convert the miles per hour into a running pace so that way I know how fast I need to go. It's also going to show you the calories burned. I don't know how accurate that is because it doesn't have you plug in any information about like your weight or anything about yourself. So it's probably just like a generic calories burned. It's going to show you the distance that you've walked as well, or ran. And then it's also going to show you the time, so you can keep track of the time. So those are the parameters that it's going to show on the screen. All right, you guys, that is a wrap on our review on the WellFit Treadmill. Hopefully both of our perspectives give you enough information to decide if this would be a good treadmill for you. If it is something that you're interested in, there is a link and more information in the description below. Otherwise, if you have any more questions about it or want more of our input, definitely let us know in the comments. We'd be happy to talk more about it.